Alright, time to officially dive into the formulas. Sports buffs, this one's for you. So you have certain teams, the country to which they belong to, whether they have played Champions League or not, the number of games they have played, and the number of points that they have earned. I hope you know this sport, you have identified this sport here. Alright, so let's start. Now, in my cell E13, I need to compute the sum. We have already learned how to we compute the sum, guys. Whenever we start a formula, we press equals, we write sum. Okay, let me just make it a black text. So how do we change the color of the font? So you go to home and click on this A button here and select the font color that you want to use on the text. So is equal to sum, press tab. This will open the syntax. Select the entire range, close the bracket and press enter. So the total of games played is 330. Now do I have a shortcut to do the same? I told you that to apply the sum formula, we need to press equals, then sum. Can I have something that will automatically do the sum for me? Something known as an auto sum in Excel? Well, of course I have it. Go to home and click on this auto sum here if you're using mouse. As soon as you click on auto sum, you will notice Excel will automatically take the range and you can simply press enter. So 593 is the total. Now this was if you're using mouse, guys. I told you specifically that we are not going to use mouse. So what shortcut? Shortcut is press alt and equal sign. Alt and equal sign together. So in your keyboard, alt, keep pressing alt and press equals and you will get the auto sum. Press enter. So shortcut alt equals for the auto sum. So this was the normal sum formula that we have covered. Now, okay, the table below this, which states that I need to calculate in my cell E16, I need to calculate the sum of games that England has played, not the normal sum here. I have a condition attached to it. Now, in these circumstances where you have to compute the sum based on a specific condition or a criteria. For example, here I need to calculate the sum of games played for England. So my criteria becomes that the country should be England. Only then, only for England, I need to compute the sum of the games that they have played. So when there is one condition attached to my normal sum formula, I use sum if. So calculate the sum if the criteria is successful or if the criteria is fulfilled or if the condition is true. Only then give me the sum. Right? So this is my normal sum if formula. Let's see how do we apply sum if. To start the formula, rightly correct guessed, press equals sum, this time sum if, tap. So if you look at the syntax, it will ask you first to select the range, then to select the criteria, and then to select the sum range. Let's go one by one. So as soon as you open the bracket for sum if formula, it will ask you for range. Now range is that column from which criteria is to be selected. So my criteria here was England. So what will be the range? That column from where my criteria, England, is to be selected. Which is that column? Country column. So range becomes that column from which the criteria is to be selected. Alright, comma. Now it will ask you for criteria. Criteria is England. I have the criteria mentioned in C16, that is England. Guys, a word of caution here. Never ever select the criteria from the range itself. Either write it somewhere like I have written England and then select it, or if you want to insert or write England inside the formula, if you want to add text inside the formula, you open the double inverted quotes, press England, close the double inverted quotes, and that is how you enter text inside the formula. Alright, so since I have a separately written England here, I'll select this, comma. Now it will ask me to select the sum range. Now this is the range of which sum is to be computed. So I needed to compute the sum of the games played, right? So I close the bracket since my syntax is complete now, and I click on enter. So it's 114. Can we check it? Let's see, how do we check this? England 38, then again England 38 again. So if you want to select the cells and if you press shift and then select, what will happen? It will select the entire range. So to individually select certain cells, what we do is we press Control and then select 38, again England. So it's 114. Alright, how? 38, 1, press Control, select this 38, select this 38 again, and you can see here it's 114. Now Excel displays the sum, count and average by default, right? So sum you can see is 114 and you can match it from our calculation. It's 114 and hence it's absolutely correct. Once more guys, let's do a recap. I have one condition based on which I need to compute the sum. So I press equals sum if, press tab, range is that column from which criteria is to be selected. So my country column, comma, criteria is England, comma, sum range is the sum of the range of which I need to compute the sum of. So games played. I close the bracket and I press enter. So that's how I use a sum if function. I hope you're trying it side by side and I hope it's really clear to you. It's very, very simple, guys. Now, let's do another formula that is attached to our normal sum formula. So till now we have covered sum and sumif. Sumif, I told you, is used when there is one condition based on which I need to compute the sum. What if I have more than one condition? Let's say I have two conditions, three conditions, four conditions to fulfill. And then based on those conditions, I need to compute the sum. Now, if I have one condition, sum if. If I have more than one condition, it's sum ifs. Simple. Sum if and sum ifs. Let's see. In my cell E17, I need to calculate the sum of points that Germany has earned in Champions League. Now, how do we identify my conditions? First condition, the country should be Germany, since I need to check the sum of points for Germany. So the first condition is the country should be Germany. Second condition should be it has played the Champions League. Only then I have to compute the sum. right? I needed to calculate the sum of points that Germany has earned in Champions League. That means in Champions League, it should be a yes here. So two conditions. First condition, the country should be Germany. And second condition, in Champions League column, this should be a yes. That means it should have played the Champions League. Now let's see how do we apply a sum-ifs function. Try it guys yourself once. And notice there is a slight difference between the syntax of sumif and sumifs. Let's see. Is equal to sumifs. Now in sumifs, it will ask you for the sum range beforehand. In sumif, the sum range was the last parameter. But in sumifs, the sum range will be the very first parameter. Right? So sum range is, I needed to compute the sum of points earned, comma, criteria range 1. Range is that column from which criteria is to be extracted. Now what was my first criteria? That the company should be that the country should be Germany. So what will be the criteria range 1? Country column. Good. Country column, comma. What is criteria 1? Germany. Great. Comma. Criteria range 2. What was my criteria 2? That in Champions League it should be a yes. So criteria range 2 becomes that column from which yes is to be selected. That means Champions League, comma. What is my criteria 2? That it should have a yes here. So yes was in my D17 cell. And since my operation is complete here, I have adequately mentioned two criterias as well as the sum range. So I close the bracket and press enter. 161. Shall we check this? Let's see. Germany played the Champions League 71. Again Germany played the Champions League 90. So the sum becomes 161. And here we have 161. That means the formula is correct. Let's do a quick recap with this. Is equal to sumifs. Now I have to select the sum range. Sum range will be the entire points earned column, comma. Criteria range 1 will be the country column since my first criteria is Germany, comma. Criteria 1. Criteria 1 is Germany, comma. Criteria range 2, Champions League column, comma. Criteria 2 is yes. Enter. 161. So that's how we use sum, sumif and sumifs. Try it on guys. Very interesting formulas. I'll see you around in the next video. Hope that's very clear to you.